Hi everyone. A few of you have been asking about the techniques in film and what is required for analysing film. So I thought I'd give you some brief videos that will help you in case you have forgotten your techniques from learning them from year 7 to year 10. To start off with, we're going to have a look at form and meaning, and I'm going to do this video based on how I learnt form and meaning at university. So it's adapted from a book called Film Art, the 5th edition of Film Art by the writers David Bordwell and Kristen Thompson, which was published in 1997. So the 4 layers of meaning are the referential meaning, the explicit meaning, the implicit meaning, and the symptomatic meaning. You'll see there a picture from the movie The Wizard of Oz. I'm going to use The Wizard of Oz because that's how I learnt all this, so I'm going to use the same things for teaching you. It's also what Bordwell and Thompson use for explaining it in their book Film Art. So our first layer of meaning is referential meaning. This is basically a plot summary. It's about what happens in the story. What is the storyline? It's very concrete. But referential meaning depends on the viewer's ability to identify specific aspects, such as the time period in which the film is set, or the city in which it's set, or the country in which it's set. So the referential meaning is really giving us the subject matter of the film. So if we look at it in terms of The Wizard of Oz, it's about a young girl living in Kansas who ventures to the mythical land of Oz. Depending on our ability to pick up on certain aspects, we would know that it's set in the Great Depression in America. And so really it is about the Depression and a cyclone that takes her to a mythical world. The second layer of meaning is called the explicit meaning. This is also somewhat concrete like referential meaning is. And explicit meaning is part of the overall form of the film. It's also shaped by context, the context of the film itself. So for instance, in The Wizard of Oz, we all know the line where Dorothy clicks her heels together and says there's no place like home. Now, if that was all there was to the film, then as Thompson and Bordwell argue, then we don't need to see the film. But it is more than that. We have to look at all the elements of the film. So explicit meaning comes from the whole film and how each element interacts with each other. So we have to look at the context to know just what is meant by there is no place like home. So trying to work out the explicit meaning is similar to trying to find out what is the point of the film. What's its message? What's it trying to say? But we can only do that when we look at every element within the film and how they all work together to make that meaning. The third layer is implicit meaning. What's happening here is we're now moving away from the concrete meanings of the film to the more abstract meaning of the film. We can't understand the implicit meanings until we understand the form of the film. So this is why it's important for you to analyze the techniques that are used and what is happening in the mise-en-scene and all the aspects of the film. What's going on with the lighting, the costuming, how each shot is framed. So for the implicit meaning, we're starting to look at the content, but we cannot separate the content from the form. So to use our example of The Wizard of Oz again, moving into the implicit meaning, we can start to say that this film is about a rite of passageway from childhood to adulthood, or it's about adolescence. All depends on how we interpret the form of the film. So it is through implicit meaning that we start to get the themes or the concepts of the film. So for instance, Wizard of Oz is about love, it's about faithfulness, it's about courage, it's about working together. So ultimately, when we're looking at the implicit meanings of the film, to get to those concepts, to get to those themes, we have to have the concrete meaning as well. We cannot separate form from meaning. So So to find the true meaning of the film, we have to totally understand the form of it, what is taking place on screen. Finally, we have the symptomatic meaning. The symptomatic meaning is the fourth level of meaning, and you cannot get to this until you have looked at the other three levels. The symptomatic meaning gives us the social ideology or the social values that are presented by the film, and it often reflects society's concerns at the time the film was made, so the context of the film and what is happening in the wider world. So in terms of Wizard of Oz, yes, we can say it's about a girl caught in a cyclone who goes on a mythical journey to the land of Oz. Yes, we can say it's about the journey from childhood to adulthood. And yes, we can say it has themes of love and courage and other themes. But it's also possible to say that it has a symptomatic meaning about life in the Depression, and where human worth is measured by the money. And so the home and the family are the last place for human values. So it is a direct reflection on the economic crisis that was happening in America at the time. So when we're looking at meaning, again, I can't reiterate it enough, you cannot separate meaning from form. You have to be looking at all the elements to be able to get through each level of meaning. So in future podcasts, what I'm going to do for you is look at the different techniques to make sure that you are completely over those and have them 100% in your mind. Thanks for listening.